A pleasant day to everyone. For today's topic, we are going to discuss a short presentation about racial discrimination. Hannah, can you please read what racial discrimination is?
Racial discrimination is when a person is treated less favorably than another person in a similar situation because of their race, color, descent, national or ethnic origin, or immigrant status.
Racial discrimination is an unfair treatment to someone because of their skin color, race, or national origin. Here are the types of race discrimination. Number one is direct discrimination. Direct discrimination is when someone is treated unfairly because of a protected characteristic such as sex or race. You'll feel that you are being treated differently because of your race and gender. Example here is Sebi is black and Luna is white. They both has an interview in the same company but only Luna got the job. Why do you think Luna is the only one who got the job?
For me, for me, they choose Luna because of his skin. She have a white skin, while Sebi has a black skin. So I think that's why they choose Luna.
Yes, that's correct. Do you agree with that, lady?
Yes.
Thank you. The next is indirect discrimination. Indirect discrimination can happen when there are rules or arrangements that apply to a group of employees or job applicants but in practice are less fair to a certain protected characteristic. Here, you treat someone the same as everybody else but it has a negative impact to them. For example, a company only hire men because they think women can do the job. The last one is racial harassment. Racial harassment is when someone experiences bullying or unwanted behavior related to race. The common form of racial harassment at work is racist language. They intend or most likely to offend someone by saying harsh words. Example, Elise has a Kapampangan accent and her classmate likes to make fun of it, so when she was very offended and complained about it, her teacher only said that don't take it seriously because it was all a joke. For the next slide, it will be discussed by Ladylyn S.
Who is affected by racial discrimination? People across the world are affected by racial discrimination. It leaves many colored people without jobs or homes. Anyone is affected, but most probably the black people, American. Even as Filipinos experience this racism because of our color as well, which is normal to us. Here's the problem. The first problem is racial discrimination is now affecting education, occupation, and even self esteem at a fast pace. The second problem is stereotypes are also putting a bad input on the problem. The last problem, some people may say bad things about a race in order to put their race higher to appear better. It may affect their talents, potentials, and possibilities to become part of this messy society are being disregarded due to their color. So what will happen now is even though they do have these abilities to perform well in a certain company or business or in the school, they won't pursue it anymore. Why? For they already thought they will do their very best. Still, it doesn't make sense for they will always be compared and will not accept most of the time. One of the many discriminations that's still being practiced here in the Philippines is the racial discrimination. Even though Philippines is a country where having brown or kayumanggi skin color is obviously normal and a thing to be proud of, there are still some people that judge others because of their color. They often throw harsh and humiliating words They also think that socializing with them is not a thing to consider too. It is said that we Filipinos must be proud to our skin color, and this has been part of our identity. But others has come so far that they consider the white color skin as a standard of beauty.
According to Nelson Mandela, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. So, Nelson Mandela was a famous politician and activist. So, during his time, he is fighting for equal rights. This statement was meant to call out the racism that was happening in South Africa. In this statement, he also pointed out that loving comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite, meaning that hating requires more effort than the former. So, the way someone looks or thinks should not affect the way you treat them. Nelson Mandela chose not to deliberately shame those people who hate another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. Instead, he provided his own insights, saying that anyone who does hate can definitely learn how to love. So he chose to educate. So here is the list of 5 actions you can take against racism and discrimination. First, listen and educate yourself. So, pay attention to the voices of people who experience racism every day. Listen to our friends, classmates, neighbors, and community leaders. So, there are also a lot of articles, books, documentaries, and etc. and on issue of racism, discrimination, and privilege. So listen to what people in them have to say, understand and confront your own privilege. Be prepared to feel uncomfortable at times. Many of us absorb biases and prejudice at an early age, so they are not easy to unlearn. Raise awareness. So, share the resources that you have found useful with your community to help them learn how can then play a role in ending racism and discrimination. So, if you have younger siblings, family members, set a good example for them. Try to look for games or books that can help them learn that we all have a right to dignity and safety. Next. Challenge everyday discrimination and racism. So, racism and discrimination happens around us all the time. Often, it is in the form of jokes, stereotypes, or insensitive comments and questions from our friends, family members, or colleagues. So, if you have witnessed a friend or family member saying racist or discriminatory things, you should talk to them if you feel safe to do so. So, approach them privately first, in person, or via direct message. Next, report racist or discriminatory content online. So many social media platforms want their platforms to be safe and empowering for people of all backgrounds. So if you see content that you think violates their guidelines, report it to the platform. So if you see content in a newspaper or a traditional media that reflects prejudice, leave a comment or send a letter to the editor to let others know that intolerant remarks are unkind and uncalled for. And lastly, is your school or university against racism and discrimination? So, school and universities should be safe places for children and young people of all races and ethnicities. Find out whether your school or university has a policy on non-discrimination and racism, safe ways to report incidents, support services, and programs or initiatives through to promote tolerance, diversity, and inclusion. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.